Life is an endless sequence of patterns. If you look closely, you'll see them everywhere. But the most striking pattern is how people shape their own lives, or rather, how they remain trapped in repetitive cycles without even realizing it. Look around and you'll recognize it. That one colleague who always seems to have trouble at work, constantly clashing with supervisors or coworkers, no matter the job or the industry. That friend who repeatedly ends up in toxic relationships, drawn to the same kind of partner who reopens old wounds. The person who, despite changing jobs or receiving financial help, keeps running into money problems. The family member who moves from one health crisis to another, with different symptoms but the same underlying issue. These are not coincidences. These are patterns, deep imprints in a person's mental framework that continue to play out until they are consciously recognized and broken. Life operates under a universal principle. You are given the challenges you need in order to grow. Problems are not random obstacles. They are lessons that will keep appearing until you learn from them. If you choose to ignore them, they might temporarily fade from view, only to return later in a more intense form. This is why some people feel like they have bad luck, or that life keeps testing them in the same way. In reality, it has nothing to do with luck. It's about awareness. Every challenge carries a certain weight: fears, limiting beliefs, and subconscious patterns inherited from upbringing, environment, or even past generations. If you don't consciously examine and transform them, they will continue to repeat. It's like taking the same test over and over again without ever studying the material. You keep failing simply because you haven't yet integrated the knowledge. But the moment you finally do, when you truly grasp the lesson and apply it, the pattern dissolves. Only then can something new take its place. Many people find this process frustrating or unfair. They keep wondering why certain struggles keep following them, why they always end up in the same situations. But this way of thinking stems from a lack of insight. Those who truly understand how life works see that nothing happens without reason. Your circumstances reflect your inner world. Your environment shows you where you still have room to grow. And yet most people remain unaware of these cycles, trapped in the illusion of control. They believe they are rationally directing their lives, that their choices are free. But how many people actually have control over their own thoughts? How many can regulate their emotions in stressful or challenging situations? How many act with true awareness rather than out of conditioned reactions? The answer is painfully clear: very few. Ignorance is perhaps the greatest enemy of progress. Most people don't even realize how little control they actually have over their own minds. They are led by their ego, by learned thought patterns, by emotional responses deeply ingrained since childhood. They keep making the same mistakes and blame their circumstances on external factors, never stopping to look within. But those who truly want to move forward must be willing to examine themselves. You have to ask yourself, why does this keep happening? What does this say about me? What beliefs are keeping me trapped in this cycle? This is the beginning of real growth. This is the moment you stop repeating lessons and start truly understanding them. Some people wait until life forces them to change, until they have no choice but to face that one fear, to take that one step they've been avoiding for years. But why wait? Why not take the lead yourself? If you understand that every challenge is an invitation to grow, you can speed up the process. Instead of hoping life will become easier, you can choose to become stronger. This means intentionally facing your fears, pushing yourself in ways you would normally avoid. Just as an athlete trains extra hard to be ready for competition, or a student reviews their notes one last time even when their brain screams for a break, inner growth requires conscious effort. It takes sacrifice, but not in a negative sense. Sacrifice is nothing more than investing in yourself. It's the point where you push forward when you would have stopped before. Throughout history, there have been people who did nothing but this. People who, despite everything, kept going when others would have given up. From inventors and artists to visionaries and spiritual leaders, the greatest changes in the world have always come from those who were willing to go beyond their own limitations. Winston Churchill put it best: when you're going through hell, keep going. We all know the sayings: persistence pays off, nothing ventured, nothing gained, no pain, no gain, and after the storm comes the calm. But what if we didn't just hear these words? What if we actually lived by them? What if instead of complaining about our problems, we examined their deeper cause? What if instead of shrinking back from our fears, we consciously face them? The moment you realize this, everything changes. A single breakthrough can transform your entire life. One time truly pushing through when you would have normally stopped can set off a chain reaction. This is the butterfly effect in action. One small shift in your thinking can place you on a completely different path, as if a door suddenly appears where before there was only a wall. And what applies at an individual level also applies on a larger scale. History shows that humanity as a whole sometimes gets stuck in stagnation, trapped in recurring cycles of conflict, power struggles, and division. But just as individuals can break through, so can the world itself. Yet we are still in our infancy. Humanity believes it knows everything. Yet the most fundamental knowledge about our own consciousness still slips through our fingers. How many people can truly say they control their own thoughts? How many have emotional mastery under pressure? It's time to be honest, not just with the world, but with yourself. How much of your life is truly guided by conscious choices, and how much is dictated by patterns you don't even recognize? The moment you can answer that question is the moment you begin to awaken. Real growth begins where ignorance ends.